Welcome to Nice Ashes. I'm Nate.
And I'm Mike.
What have we got here now?
We have, as a part of our Rockey Patel Edge series, a shorter Torpedo Edge. Looks to be about 6 inches long, and yeah, it's kind of like the baby brother of the howitzer. So,
All right, and it's got the, would you say this is a Maduro?
this one is a Maduro, yes. Very dark wrapper.
Yep, it
Very
does have
pungent
some
smelling,
spice. It does have some spice on the wrapper I tasted.
for sure. Smells pungent. At least mine does. Not that that means anything. And I did a crosscut on this. So,
All right, I did not. I was debating, but, with the torpedo ends.
on a more moderate sized torpedo like this, I still like to do a crosscut.
Okay. Well, it does taste a little pungent, not necessarily like in a bad way.
No, this is a stiff cigar. It's good, good, but
Yeah.
definitely strong. As strong as the howitzer was,
Yes.
the Maduro howitzer.
That one was almost too strong, I think.
I think it was because of the size too. I mean, the thing
Well,
was
the
huge.
size, and I think, at least I was kind of smoking it as if it weren't a big, strong cigar. So kind of crept up on me at the end there.
That'll happen with the big, strong ones.
It is what I've heard.
So,
So did we, I know we'd mentioned it a few episodes back, but the Dutch farmers protests, did we talk about that fully or?
I just made a quick mention of it. Not a
Okay.
whole lot. I'm certain that they're still ongoing. I haven't seen anything in American news
Yeah, I was
for a
trying
couple
to
weeks.
Google other, lesser known protests that might be happening. And there's just a huge long list. And but the site was kind of neat. I don't remember what site it was, but it kind of told you when it started, how long it lasted, and then what the political outcome was. And the few that I clicked on, the political outcome was all nothing changed. So,
Right.
I guess I don't know how effective protests are. Because we had the Occupy Wall Street protests here, and I don't think that actually changed anything.
No, it didn't. And I did the Occupy Wall Street protesting way back when in the city of Fargo because they have a huge Wells Fargo compound there.
Okay.
And not a damn thing changed. The cops were cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that Fargo is a relatively, I mean, it's not a small town, but it doesn't have like huge city policing issues either for the most part.
Yeah.
So they weren't about to beat up a bunch of college kids.
Well, they don't have the
Uh,
same mentality that the big city cops have. I mean, the big city cops see way more people. Just like driving, if you're driving in the big city, you're going to be angry because you don't encounter, more percentage of bad drivers, but because there's more people, you're encountering more numbers of bad drivers. The stats
sure.
probably work out the same, but
Right. And we were all clearly college kids. And they don't want to hurt their moneymaker in
yeah.
Fargo. So at that time, I think there was 45,000 college students in that community.
Okay.
And that's pretty big in an area that really doesn't have more than 200,000 people, even with the college students. So I used to ride my bike around drunk and all sorts of shit that's definitely illegal, but the cops just turn a blind eye to it because it doesn't hurt anybody.
Yeah.
You know?
So some states, riding a bicycle intoxicated can actually get you a DUI and points or stuff, your driver's license even revoked and
Yes, yes, it
suspended,
can.
which I think is stupid
I
because
agree.
you don't need a driver's license to ride a bicycle that I'm aware of.
No, you do not. And in certain areas, like downtown Fargo, they require you to ride your bicycle on the street. That was the only hard time I ever got by an officer in the 4 years I lived downtown there. Was I was riding on the sidewalk, and he was like, "Get on the street."
Yep.
So they were more okay with a drunk college student driving a bicycle on the street than the sidewalk. Which was fine. He wasn't that bad about it. He didn't even stop me. He just told me to go get on the street, you know?
Yeah, I always try and take a bike path or bike lane if there's one available, but, you know, some of those laws in some of those towns where it's like no riding on the sidewalk, but they didn't do anything to accommodate bicycles.
Right. And Fargo's the same way. But this traffic is really slow downtown. They almost want the bikes to slow traffic down more.
Okay.
Because there's so many people walking around. It's actually kind of a vibrant, cool area to hang out in, you know? And they want the traffic to be slow, which is a good thing.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with slow traffic.
Not in you know, where there's houses and stuff, for sure.
Yeah, on the freeway, that's a different story, but...
Right, yeah. If you're on a highway or even a county road, like, I'm not a fan of driving slow. But in city areas, I drive 20, 25 most of the time if there's houses on both sides of the road, you know.
Yeah.
Which can frustrate people. But whatever. I'm the one that gets frustrated when people go 45 miles an hour down a county road.
Yeah. Or even, I know, like, you know, on a lot of the freeways, the minimum is 45, I think, like the legal minimum. So you can actually get pulled over for going slower. But if you're going 50 in like a 65 or 70, it's still awfully slow.
Oh, I mean, going the speed limit a lot of times in certain parts of the freeway system is dangerous to yourself and others.
Yeah.
You know, I know that I-94 right around Maple Grove in a work vehicle, I drive the speed limit, and it's crazy, insane, dangerous. It's like being a rock in a river, you know?
Yep.
And then on my personal vehicle, I'll drive through there, and I'll be going 94 miles an hour, and I'll just be with traffic. I won't be passing anybody. I'll just be with everybody else. It's like, that's pretty fucking fast, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, so that's one less than my governor. You know, I mean, like, holy crap. But it's always fascinating driving in heavy traffic.
Yeah.
So, how was your weekend?
Pretty good. Just, you know, I think you must have saw my Sarah. Sounded like.
I didn't see her. I talked to her.
Oh, you talked to her.
On the phone. Yeah, on the phone.
Yeah. So yeah, her and Viv were up there in your neck of the woods for the weekend, and.
Oh, okay. You chilled out at the palace.
Yeah, got to do some of my other like little personal projects instead of, you know, doing bigger house projects or things like that. So it's kind of nice.
Yeah.
What about
I wish
you?
I had more time to do small projects. Saturday we went to a huge antique fair. Drove down to Cambridge. I went to an antique fair there. And it was good. Bought a lot of stuff, of course. And, you know, trailered it all back home. And,
was that where you found that glass set and everything? Yeah. Okay, that was pretty cool. I saw that
online. The glass
online.
set or the...
the glasses...
No, that USSR.
Yeah, that stuff was cool.
Set? No. We got that up north.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we were screwing around up there 2 weekends ago.
Okay.
We got that chandelier. I don't know if you saw a picture of it. I sent it to Sarah.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, we got a Tiffany chandelier for like $30.
Nice.
You know, can't go wrong. Can't go wrong for $30, and other stuff like that. So.
We got to get you guys down here because Hopkins, their main street is either a sweet vinyl shop, a bunch of antique stores or breweries and bars. So it's like the perfect destination.
Yeah. Oh, we went down there, I don't know, several years ago. Was I living in the metro then?
Probably.
Wait, probably. I know that was when you and I walked down there.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know how much was open though. I think we just walked down there to meet Sarah, my Sarah at the bar or whatever, remember?
Yeah, we met her at the bar, and they were like super packed. And then we
Yeah.
walked around a couple antique stores.
Oh
I
yeah, a
remember.
couple of them.
Yeah, so that was a good time.
But now that you moved to the sticks, you never come down here anymore.
Well, very rarely, unfortunately. We need to get down there more often. It's definitely a weekend adventure to go down,
Yeah.
which is good. That makes it nice. As far as get to see all the nice stuff and not have to deal with all the bad stuff.
Yeah.
Because everybody's driving north as you're going south, and vice versa.
Yeah. So they've got at the Minneapolis Institute of Art, which I know we talked about, I think last episode, about different art museums and things. But I saw they've got a special exhibit on Van Gogh and his olive trees.
Yes, my Sarah wants to go bad.
Yeah, I want to go too.
Yeah, we should. Well, we'll have to see when you guys want to go and when Sarah wants to go. We could go together.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, we got to wait for her to have a weekend off again, though. So there's always that.
And then you both did the immersive Van Gogh experience, and we did as well.
Yes, we did.
So maybe we should talk about that a little bit.
Absolutely, for those who haven't gone.
Yeah, or if you have gone, you can see if our opinions mirror your opinions or not.
Yes. I'll go first, being not
Sure.
from the metro. The parking situation was fucking awful. And we went when Sarah had her old car.
Okay. Was your location the same as ours? Ours was like right next to the cider company?
Ours was in like a weird art place in like North Minneapolis, I think.
Okay, because I think ours was right by Sociable Cider Works, and we actually just parked at Sociable Cider Works, drank a bunch of apple cider, and then walked over.
Gosh, I don't think that ours. Maybe it was. It was like very busy, very packed full of stuff, and no parking. You had to pay for parking in their parking lot, and it was all ripped up and pothole filled and just a shit show. So we ended up parking, I don't know, quarter mile away, and walking down the ice-covered sidewalk, Yeah. And it was a real sketchy. I thought it was pretty sketchy. Windows broken out of buildings, sort of like.
Okay, you might have been. I don't know if you were in the same spot or not, or if they've moved. I don't know. I think they're still running it though. But we went in the summer or spring, so I'm not 100% sure.
We went spring, winter. Maybe it was next. I don't know if it was next to Sociable. I know I was not very happy with.
Yeah.
That I'm like.
So parking aside.
So much money,
Yeah.
And getting in was a hassle because they wanted the COVID cards. And Sarah forgot her card, of course.
Yeah. So I just took a picture of mine on my phone and then saved it as a favorite in my photo album.
That's what I did. And Sarah's the one that told me to do it, and she didn't have it. I was like, it's so funny. So they had a weird database, and it took us, 25 minutes to get in there.
Okay.
And we bought the VIP tickets so that we had some leeway when we got there. And Sarah wanted the extra poster and the weird seat cushion thing, and it was fine. She got a VIP ticket and I didn't. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But and the gift shop was horrible.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys swung by there, but it was like the typical.
You had to. We had to. There was no way out of it without going through there.
That's right, yeah. And they wanted to sell like Van Gogh table coffee books for $150.
Everything was like crazy expensive, and it was kind of like that scene in Spaceballs where yogurt is like Spaceballs the T-shirt, Spaceball. They had Van Gogh umbrellas. I don't know if they had any like Starry Night thongs, but we did each buy a Van Gogh mouse pad because they were bigger than your standard like freebie mouse pads. And I think
Sure.
they were only like $5. And
Oh,
that
that's
was
pretty
like
reasonable.
the most reasonably priced thing in the entire store. Um,
We
I
got
think
a print.
even
Oh,
the
go
Van Gogh
ahead.
pencils were like $20, I think. So
Yeah, it was crazy. Some of it was just insane. I
we
got a
saw people
magnet
buying
for my gun
stuff.
safe.
Okay,
Oh
yeah,
yeah, people were.
magnets are always good.
Yeah, people were throwing money away like hand over fist. It was crazy. And my magnet was like a inch, a square inch size, and it was
Yeah.
like $5. It was all right. It was of the almond trees, because I
Okay.
like that. And
Yeah.
Sarah got a print, um, which were pretty reasonable. The prints weren't bad.
Oh, okay.
It's like $20 or something, which is not terrible, really. Um,
Not for a print. I mean, like band posters are anywhere from like 40 to 60.
right,
More if they're signed. So
right. It was interesting. It was not what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was
yeah, I
going
was
to
just gonna
be.
say, the experience, what it said online, and what the pictures led me to believe, and then I walked in and I was like, this is not what I was expecting. But you carry on, and then I'll tell my thoughts too.
Sure, I thought it was going to be like an art installation where you walk through smaller rooms, maybe 10 by 10, 15 by 15, something like that. I thought
Yeah.
they were going to have the projections of the paintings on the walls so you could kind of, pretend like you're walking through the paintings.
Mm-hmm.
And I assumed that, like, that's what I thought it meant by 3D paintings or whatever.
Yeah.
And the pictures led me to believe that from the
Yes.
marketing, you know?
Yep. Because they took pictures of them right by like a big, huge projected, like haystacks or something. And
Yes, yes. And it was like in a corner.
yep.
And I thought, that'd be kind of cool. You walk through the exhibit or whatever, and
Yeah.
that is not what it was at all.
No. So I guess I was expecting, maybe I don't know if it was 10 by 10 rooms or if they would set up like do you remember going to I don't know, these things are huge like in older museums, the dioramas. You'd like go in and it was like the 360 ring of I don't know, like a painting or but it was like a 360 all the way around you. You had to like walk up into the diorama room at like these museums and stuff. And so I
Yeah,
was kind of expecting something like that where they'd have multiple little pods that had the paintings projected and you could actually go and you'd be anywhere you would look there would be Starry Night, like
right. That's kind of what I was thinking. Similar but different.
similar concept. I mean, we were both thinking like and I remember we timed it and what it was when we walked in and you can tell me if it was the same for you or not. They literally did no work. They rented an empty warehouse. They threw up a bunch of projectors and they had, I think it was an 8 or 15-minute video on a loop.
Yes.
And you could
And
stay
there
as
were
long
two
as you
rooms,
wanted.
right? The big room in the front,
Yep,
and the
2
small room in the
rooms.
back.
And you could stay as
Yes.
long as you want. And so they rented an empty warehouse for whatever that costs. They had probably 8 projectors because there's 4 walls in each room. They need 1 projector per wall. So that's 8 projectors. Figure $200 a projector. And then boom, you're done. And then you're just making bank after the first, like, I don't know, 3 people visit because the tickets were way more expensive. I mean, I would pay, I think for the experience, I mean, the video is kind of neat, but I would have rather just buy the DVD for like $20.
Right. It was well over $100 for us
Yeah,
to go,
it was
just for the
ridiculous.
tickets. It is ridiculous. Uh,
And you're
and like
better
you said, it
off.
was just a projection on the wall, and it was like a section of the wall, and then you could see like there's just overlapped.
The
You know what I'm
seam,
saying?
yeah, the
Yeah.
seam between projectors or whatever.
Yep.
You're better off going for free or making a donation at MIA and seeing a real Van Gogh.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
You're
I was
better off.
very
You're
disappointed.
better off getting a Greyhound ticket, going out to Washington D.C. for $55 or whatever it costs for a Greyhound ticket,
Yeah.
walking through the Smithsonian, getting on back on the Greyhound and coming back, which would have been almost as long as me going down to the fucking metro,
Yep.
parking, and then walking through the ice hell the pothole infested shit show, going through the line that took, an hour. It would have taken me the same amount of time.
Yep. And probably less headache.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, the cross country trip would have been less effort to get into it. It would have been cool if I would have been high, maybe,
That is incorrect.
That is incorrect. Oh, is it really?
Yes.
See, and I thought, when I was watching, I'm like, I guess I could see if I was ripped.
You know what the problem was?
Space.
The problem is that it was like an 8-minute video.
Mm-hmm.
So it really doesn't matter. And so it doesn't matter how much drugs or alcohol are in you. It's an 8-minute video,
Well, alcohol would have been a major mistake for me. That would have been a huge mistake.
Do you want Mike to get angry? Because Mike's about to get angry.
Right, yeah, exactly. It's like, that would have been,
no.
I would have been really sour. But, yeah, I don't know. It was definitely not worth the money.
No, absolutely not.
You'd be better served to go to the MIA or to go to the Walker.
Yeah.
Obviously you're not going to see Van Gogh at the Walker, but...
No. You could even go to the Wiseman if you want something a little more off the beaten path down here. But you're probably just better off watching one of the... Like, Willem Dafoe was in a Vincent Van Gogh movie, which I think was fairly good, because he plays Vincent. And then there was another Vincent Van Gogh movie that came out that was animated. But that one's quite a bit newer, I think. And that one was really good. So you're better off... Like, even if they were in theaters, you'd be better off buying 2, like, Primo Deluxe 4D Van Gogh Experience movie theater tickets and the expensive popcorn, and you'd still save money.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because it was extremely expensive. Sarah, she didn't think it was as bad as I did.
Yeah.
But I also tend to be more negative about just, everything than she is. But
yeah, and maybe she had different expectations going in, too.
Right. I think
that could be some of it. I mean, for the amount of money that the tickets were and the marketing that they did online, to show up and step into an empty warehouse that had projectors on the ceiling, and then for them to call it an immersive experience.
Right. Well, we went springtime, so I was wearing my Iron Rangers, which for those who don't know, they're like nitrile cork, soled work boots. Well, not work boots, they're like dress boots. Yeah, they're nicer shoes. And it was slippery. I thought I was going to fall.
Yeah.
That definitely primed me to be already agitated before I got there.
Well, you were agitated before you even walked in.
I was agitated before
we were the
I walked
opposite
in, yeah.
Because we had like a nice dinner, and then we had a couple, hard ciders, and then we just walked over and got in line, and our line wasn't that long. It only took us, 5-10 minutes to get in. We must have just had a really good time slot, I guess. Because I think it was a weeknight. I don't think it was a weekend.
Yeah, we went on a weekend. I'm pretty sure we stopped by your place after that.
Yeah, I think so, because I think we did talk about it,
yes,
you and I.
we did at the time.
But I was still seeing like advertisements for it even when we were in New York, because they do it all over the country.
Sure.
So it's not even like a traveling show, where it's like, hey, this like off-Broadway, theater company is putting on, Wicked or Hamilton or something, and they're only going to be in your town for like a month, and then they're moving to the next town. It's literally in every major city. Why is it still so expensive?
Yeah, they like torrented the file to some huckster who, like you said, bought a bunch of shitty projectors. No, they weren't shitty, but you know what I mean.
No, they were fine, but they're not. It's not like going to the IMAX at the Science Museum.
No.
I mean, that's more immersive because the screen curves, the camera was designed to film that, and watching it as a film person, they did a lot of the Van Gogh's art as the backdrop, and they, told the story or did some stuff, and they animated little bits and pieces of it. The whole time watching it, I was like, that's how you're choosing to animate it? It's like you gave somebody PowerPoint and told them to animate a Van Gogh painting, and then you thought, my God, this is great. Let's charge $100 for people to go see it.
Yeah, and they put like the Dune soundtrack over the top.
Yeah.
That's all I remember. It was like, wow. Like, okay.
And the Dune soundtrack is badass, but it's not
no,
really not a Van
Dune
Gogh.
soundtrack is wonderful for Dune.
It's not the.
I am not
Not
criticizing the Dune soundtrack, but I don't need to listen to the Sardaukar or Army March,
I just wanted you to check
minutes.
yourself before you wrecked yourself.
Yeah, it's good, but you're not going to put that over Mary Poppins, right? Like, it's
No.
just not.
It didn't fit the visuals.
Right. Yeah, it's I don't know.
But that was the only royalty-free music they could find, so cut them some slack. It's just two guys out of their mom's basement trying to put on a Van Gogh thing because they love Van Gogh. Okay.
Oh, I know. They're probably artists in residence at some government agency.
Yep. Well, ever since World War II, you can't get declined to go to art school, so.
Mm-hmm. Oh, my God. Oh, man.
So I think I'm about halfway done.
I am not halfway yet. I'm 3/4 of the way or so.
Okay.
But,
I should also mention that I'm fairly bad at visually estimating distances and things.
I have about 4 inches left.
I will say I'm very bad at visually estimating things, but I feel like I'm about halfway.
How do you like it?
I guess I'm maybe like an inch more than my lighter distance. Half an inch more than my lighter distance. As everybody can see my lighter, you know how much I have left. I like it. It's not as big and bold as the howitzer Maduro.
To me, it has a similar flavor profile.
It's got a similar
because of the smaller
flavor
diameter,
profile. Yeah.
It's more enjoyable to me.
Yes.
I get a lot of
this
cedar, a very strong cedar taste from it.
Yep.
In a good way, not in a bad way.
Yeah. It hasn't really done like a flavor change.
No, mine hasn't.
I think
either.
it has kind of mellowed out towards the middle, but there's no new flavors or anything. But I like it. I really like this one. I think the size is perfect for the strength of the tobacco of the wrapper, and all in all, good so far.
I think so. I'm drinking Stella right now. I'm about to switch to a Northeast, and I think that it pairs well with Stella. We'll see about Northeast.
It pairs well with the Sierra Nevada Hazy Little Thing IPA. So the hazies are typically a little more fruity.
Yes.
So not overly fruity or overly, but, just enough to where it kind of is a nice counterpoint to the strong cigar.
Yeah, I used to be big into the pairing. I always drank coffee with cigars.
Okay.
For a long time. And
that would be interesting. Did we ever do like the Irish coffee with cigars?
We haven't drank Irish coffees with cigars.
We should do that.
I think that the sweetness would ruin it, though. Maybe not if you have a real strong cigar,
I think it depends on the cigar for sure.
Right. Yeah, I always used to drink black coffee.
Yeah, I love black coffee. That's all I drink, really, unless you're going to put booze in it.
Right. I don't really drink any coffee with anything other than just black coffee. Even my cold brews, I just drink it straight. But,
so, do you guys have an Instant Pot, right?
Yes, we do.
So I saw something, and I don't know where or why I saw this or how it came across, other than to say that I get bored at work quite a bit. And somebody was saying that they made, because one of my friends made me join the Instapot like Facebook group. So I was like,
they forced you to.
Well, they were like, I'm like, hey, the Instapot's like cool, but I really just use it for rice. And they're like, oh my God, you got to use it for all these other things. And so they sent me the link. So then I had to join. But somebody made like cold brew in their Instapot. They like made a huge like Instapot full of coffee for cold brew.
What? Did they just steep it in there?
Iced coffee or something? Like, no, yeah. I think they used it as like like a pressure cooker thing to like, I don't know how they did it. I didn't read the thing. So I was like, that's a lot of coffee.
How would you? How would you?
I don't know how you would.
Cold brew is like,
well,
the whole beauty of it is that you just put it in the fridge.
Like you brew it when it's cold. You don't, add heat. So I don't know how they did it or what they were doing, but they were like, oh yeah, it was great for making, cold brew for the heat wave that we had recently or whatever. And I'm like, I don't know. I would never think of using an Instapot for that.
No, I use mason jars.
Yeah, or you can get one of those big, like those big lemonade like dispenser things.
Yes.
Like Sarah has one, this glass. It's got the little spigot on the bottom.
Yep.
And it's, I don't know, a couple gallons.
Yeah. The gasket leaks on mine, of course. So.
Yeah.
Always.
Ours has been fine, and I was surprised because the gasket is actually plastic and not metal. And I was like, that's the weakest part of this whole thing, and that's going to fail. But we've been bringing it out when we have people with kids over and stuff and filling that thing full of Kool-Aid, and it's been fine so far. So.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. I made some cold brew tea over the weekend, and I had a cup of that today. That was good.
Oh, okay. One of our friends, his wife has a bunch of family back in South Africa, and they're both from South Africa, and so she brought us back some South African rooibos tea that I guess you can only get over there.
I've heard of it, but I've never had it.
Whatever the variety is like specific to South Africa, so...
Sure.
Next time I see you, I'll have to bring you. I don't know if it's in like pouches or what. I don't know what the status is inside the tin. I haven't opened it up yet.
Well, hopefully it's loose leaf. You would hope it was loose leaf.
Hopefully.
But who knows? I'm a loose leaf guy.
We've got some tea, but we're not like huge into the tea. So if it was loose leaf, I don't. Well, no, actually, we do have a little thing because we used to back before times before the pandemic, we got one of those little, it's like a single cup like tea brewer thing from like, I want to say Teavana or something, but it's a little like, looks like a little like travel mug with a lid that flips up, and you put the leaves in there, and then you put hot water in there and you let it steep, and then you set it on top of your coffee mug, and it dispenses all the stuff and keeps all the tea leaves in the thing.
Sure.
So that works pretty slick, I guess. Do you have an electric kettle?
We have 2 electric kettles. I had one and Sarah had one.
Okay, because I remember I had heard about them before, but you sometimes see these like posts online, like here's the wild thing that's taking America by storm, and it's an electric kettle, and then you've got all the British people like, how backwards is America? They don't know anything about electric kettles.
Right.
But like tea isn't as big a part of our society as theirs.
No. I like a French press, too. I've had the same one since I was in college. So, the carafe lasted me. That was like one of my handful of things I brought traveling with me. And the carafe, which is glass, stayed good the whole time until Sarah and I moved in together, and she banged it against the fucking garbage and shattered the carafe.
On your French press?
On my French press, yeah. And I'm like, I've had that thing for how many years, It's been all over the country.
Yeah, we've got a French press, and then we have I think it's a 10-cup pour over carafe, with everything.
Sure.
And my sister-in-law works at a coffee roasting house, a roastery. I don't know what you call them.
Coffee roaster. I don't know.
Sure.
Rotisserie.
But when they come to visit her, if we go there, she's got a little kitchen scale, so she like measures out precisely the amount of coffee that is needed and the amount of water and like the exact temperature of the water to pour over those beans. So I mean, it's some phenomenal coffee that she makes.
Oh, I'm sure. I've tried to do the measuring in grams a couple times, and it's not any better than when I use a tablespoon. You know what I mean?
Well, and for me, what I usually do is I just, we grind our coffee. We buy the whole bean, grind it, and then I just program it to be done when I wake up. So I don't really have time during the week anyway for fancy coffee shenanigans.
Right. I try to drink cold brew during the week because it's easy, and it's summertime right now, so it's fine. In the wintertime, I guess if I woke up 15 minutes earlier, I could drink some French press coffee.
Yeah.
What is your sister-in-law? How does she make it? She make it in a French press, or?
No, she does it in the pour over. So,
Oh,
and she's got so that's why we didn't have to buy a pour over thing.
it's like a Chemex, right? Something like that.
Yeah, I think that might even be the brand, but it's I don't know, it's like bulbous on the bottom and flat, and then it's got a plastic kind of like neck collar thing, and then it comes up into a funnel shape up top, and then it has a insert just like your drip brew coffee maker would have. So you put all the grounds in that. It's like metal mesh, and it's got a spout, and so it's got the plastic thing around the neck, so that once you're done doing the pour over, you can pick the thing up and pour it into a cup. You take the grounds basket out and do that. But with the pour over, we have a little stainless steel hot water thing with a long spout, and so apparently the way it works is you fill that thing with the right temperature water, and then you systematically pour it and move it over the grounds, and it's coming out of a tiny little spout. So your goal is to have the water touch as much of the coffee grounds as possible, and because you're controlling the flow, you can pour it through and let that stuff kind of filter through before you add more water, and you can make sure every area of it is wet. So it's kind of a lot more, I don't know how you would say, but it's very system oriented, or you have to cover every bit of it, but you have so much control over it. And she's done it a lot, so when she makes it, it takes a lot of time to brew the 10 cups for the thing, but it's phenomenal when she does. And I've tried it on my own too, and it's pretty good. I think I might be a little impatient, because you have to be really patient, I guess, with the pour over.
Sure. I bought it's one of the buns, but it's not the standard bun you get from, the Target. It's certified by the Fancy Coffee Drinkers Association or whatever it is in America.
Yeah.
And it's got the right brew temperature, and it's got the right water, the speed at which it puts the water out. And it takes 17 minutes to brew a pot of coffee. Okay. And that made a huge difference in the quality of just brewed coffee. Because I don't have time for that, I'll just set the timer and let it go.
Yeah. We've got I think it's a Cuisinart, and it's a fairly expensive one. It's got the metal basket, so you don't have to use the paper filters.
Right, yep.
And that's slick. And then you can control, it's got the bold setting, and it's got a setting for if you're brewing less than 4 cups, which who's going to do that?
Not me.
Yeah, we always brew a full pot. But then you can set the hot plate temperature too, for low, medium, or high, so you don't ever end up with burnt coffee.
Sure.
So I'm sure it's not as fancy as yours, but it's fancy. No, it's the fanciest one that we've had. So
it sounds way fancier, because mine is just you brews it and then it's got a heating pad. It's very simple. It's it is as simple as a bun, but the components in it are extremely high quality.
Well, I'm sure your components are better than our components. I don't know. We're not doing a coffee maker showdown.
Yeah, we're not.
All I'm saying is that with coffee makers, usually I would say, or I would think that the more you spend on a coffee maker, the better your coffee is going to taste.
Generally, unless you get a French press.
Unless you get a French press,
just the best that I've ever consistently at home.
Well, it is so easy.
Right. Yeah, you pour it in. I've checked out different methods. I watched James Hoffman videos.
Okay.
And he's got a very specific method to brew in a French press, and I've tried it, and I don't think it's better.
Yeah.
Than just pouring it in, setting the timer for 5 minutes, and pressing it down and pouring it out.
Yeah.
it's
I think the caveat is, if you're making really crap coffee, don't go out and spend $200 on a coffee machine.
Right.
Because the difference in the taste is probably going to be mostly imperceptible if you don't. And I don't have a highly tuned palate, so I'm not trying to sound like an asshat by saying if you don't have a highly tuned palate, you're not going to notice the difference between this coffee. But it's probably the beans you're using,
Right. And
everybody's
sometimes
like,
it's the grinder too, because
and sometimes it's the grinder, and that's what I want is I want to get a really nice burr grinder, but they're like expensive.
Well, the Barazzas are $140, and that's about the standard.
Yeah.
From my research, which I own a Barazza as well, and there's a local coffee place that I visited, and they make beans there, or they roast beans, and that's what they use at home too. It's a Barazza.
Oh, okay.
And they're $140, so it is expensive. But
I bought a really nice
it does well.
hand grinder. It's stainless steel with the burr grinder in it, and for camping. And I bought a really nice like camping coffee pot. Percolator. It's one of the percolators for camping, but it makes a mean cup of coffee with the grind, because you can set your just like a burr grinder, you set your desired coarseness or fineness, and you just hand crank it. But yeah, we just have I think it's a Cuisinart grinder, but it's just got the blades in the bottom. So
sure. Yeah, but
and I think you really need like one of those burr grinders or something where you can set the coarseness for like a pour over.
Yes.
And even for French press, like if you can get your
it makes a huge difference too.
Grind size the right size.
Espresso and obviously pour over and for the French press, and it's nice to have something like that. I used to have a Black & Decker. And it was like $50, and it worked for years, and it was actually really good. But the Barazza is way better.
Well, and I would say, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not a huge like coffee snob, but I do know that after we first got introduced to Trader Joe's, like a lot of the stuff Trader Joe's has is like really great for the price. Yeah, really good quality. Their coffee, however, is not. We tried a couple different other coffees, and it was like the grossest coffee we've had for a long time. Unless that's the coffee that you like to drink, Mike, or you, the listener, like to drink. Then it's my favorite coffee in the world, and I'd be happy to drink a cup with you. But you like the beer that I brought you from there.
Mm-hmm. No, the beer was awesome.
Yeah.
That was truly wonderful beer, which I like beer, so.
Yes.
Hard to go wrong.
They've got some really good ethnic foods. So like they've got a really good like frozen Mandarin chicken thing.
Oh.
And they've got some really good Indian. They're not microwave meals. I mean, all of the stuff you can make in the microwave, but they all come with like oven instructions. And the thing with Trader Joe's is always go with the oven instructions, because it's going to taste really good versus the microwave instructions, which it might be ready sooner, but it's not going to make you want to buy it ever again.
Right.
And the same is true with coffee. Like if you are used to drinking Folgers, like Sarah's parents, they used to drink a lot of Folgers and flavored coffees. And then we brought some coffee up, or they had some coffee at our place. And they were like, "Oh my God, your coffee is so good. What do you guys do?" And it's like, we just use the Camerons or whatever. I think it's the local to us, Minnesota.
Yeah, they're statewide. They sell it at like every grocery store in the state.
Well, yeah. But, it's cheap and it tastes good, depending on the variety or the roast that you're buying. But
yeah, it's not crazy. I mean, a lot of communities now even have roasters. No matter like even rural areas will have a roaster or two.
Yeah, it's the same like with the microbreweries and stuff.
Yep.
A lot of communities have those now.
I think that the roasters are usually pretty good. I know breweries, and this is my opinion, there's a huge difference in quality between brewers, depending on who's doing it.
Well, and but I think that's like the other thing too, is like a lot of the breweries you can go to and you're like, yeah, the beer is fine, but what one did I like, or what one did I drink, or you're like, you don't even remember because they all just kind of taste the same. If you go to enough like microbreweries, unless they really know what they're doing, and it's not just like a quick cash grab for them. It's like, oh yeah, I really love this beer at this brewery, and I can't find that same flavor anywhere else. But by and large, like most of the microbrew IPAs all taste the same. All the sours taste the same. All the lagers, all the stouts, they're all kind of like very, very similar, unless you find some of those really good ones.
Right.
Which is maybe like the immersive
sours. I've been to a few of them where they actually make the sours with fruit, real fruit. Like they get a delivery, and then it's good. But you're
Oh
right.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
the IPAs especially. It's all the same dog roll, which I'm not a fan of IPAs in general anyway. But
I like
it's
IPAs, but I've gotten more into the hazies, and I mentioned this before on the podcast too. I think there's more flavor, more like it's not the full like kick you in the face hops. The hazies I think are a little more complex tasting. I might just be
sure.
full of shit, but
I drink a lot of Goose Island.
Goose
Uh,
Island's really good. I like
yeah,
Goose
a lot
Island.
of Goose Island. They have it at a lot of bowling alleys,
Yep.
which is why
You
I drink it.
really can't go wrong with Goose Island.
Right? They'll have for those who are not acquainted with bowling alleys, most of the time they have like Miller Lite and Bud Light, stuff like that. Then they'll have one beer that is not Miller Lite, Bud Light, Coors Light, and it'll
Yep.
typically be Goose Island. The distributors up north here must have it for cheap. You know, they usually sell for 25 cents more a can or something like
It's
that.
a Chicago beer.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And
I did not know that.
Fulton is really good, and that's a Minnesota beer, Minneapolis.
Yep.
Their brewery is right by the Twins Stadium. And we actually went because they got big enough to no longer be able to legally sell growlers on premises. So we went to their Death of the Growler party, and that was pretty
Oh,
cool.
that's cool. Yeah, they were complaining about that at Castle Danger too.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they didn't
I
want to
don't
do
know.
what Bet Paddle did, which is too bad.
Yeah, what did I've never been to Bent Paddle. What did they end up doing? Did they shut down their like tap room and stuff, or?
No, no, they're located in the old warehouse district, like the old industrial area.
Yeah, I've driven
So,
by it before. We've just
oh,
never
okay.
had gone. We always
They,
usually go to Fickers.
oh, okay, yeah, yeah. So they're kind of by Frost's, but they have a separate building, their original building for brewing, and then they bought another space, and then they opened up a tap room, and that's all it is a tap room.
Oh, got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's in the
There's
same
a
area,
what's that other
So,
brewery downtown there? Because Castle Danger's outside of town, but there's one right by the
well,
the,
Castle
the
Danger's in two harbors.
yeah, that's
So,
Two Harbors. But in Duluth there's like Bent Paddle in the warehouse district. But then if you're over
yep.
in the what's that park
Uh,
by the bay
we were
or the
there.
bridge?
Gosh dang it, I can't remember what it's called. Are you talking
But
about in Superior? Because there's a brewery over in Superior too.
no, in Duluth. It's right in
Okay,
Duluth, right by the. It's a couple
Lift.
blocks from like
Is that
from the
Lift Bridge?
Maritime. No, Lift Bridge is out of Stillwater.
Lift Bridge. No, no, no. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's right next to the big hotel there, next to the.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And then like
How's that
the candy chocolate shop is like right there, and then you walk a little
Yep.
further, and like the Maritime Museum is down there.
Is that called Highland Park? Not Highland Park. What's the name of that damn park now?
I don't know,
I think it's named after the park. That's right there. If I
but I
remember
remember that
correctly.
one being pretty good.
Yeah. No, that's good.
But I would like to go to Bent Paddle at some point, and I'd like to actually go to Castle Danger because I do like the
Yes.
Castle Danger beers.
There's a third brewery in Duluth too, and that was okay. They kind of all tasted the same at that one, but that's
Yeah.
kind of like in the middle of a residential neighborhood. It's
Yep.
like Northman Brewing or something. Some
Well,
generic
and
name like that.
I mean, to be fair, almost anything you get fresh from a brewery is going to be better than anything you can get in like cans or
Oh, for
bottles
sure.
at a liquor store. So,
Oh, for sure. I'm
I'm
not.
not trying to say like, hey, don't open a brewery if all your beers taste the same or all your beers taste like the other brewery's beers because on tap beer that's not, Bud is going to
Right.
taste better than anything else. So it's not really like a diss on any of that stuff. It's just, I don't when we first moved down here, we were like, hey, we got to go to all these breweries. And then more are opening up like every week. And it's like, we can't make it to all these breweries. We don't have enough time. They're not all unique enough, to warrant. So you got to find, a couple breweries that are close to you that you like. So,
Yep. There's a brewery in Superior, maybe half a block from the Anchor Bar,
okay.
and we had their Imperial Stout, and it was one of the best beers I've ever had. It was wonderful. Can't remember the name of the damn brewery now, but Google
Okay.
Maps will tell everybody.
I would be
Anybody who needs
very
to know, they can look
interested
it up.
in trying that Imperial IPA because I do like the Imperial IPAs.
Yeah, no, it was good, and that was during the pandemic, and they just opened up kind of like the old school walk-up order counters that you see at the
Oh,
old Dairy
nice.
Queens. They
Yeah.
had that on the side of the building, and you could just kind of like get it. It was really good. And of course, we went to the Anchor Bar because who doesn't want to go to the Anchor Bar? But If anybody has not gone who's listening to the Anchor Bar and you are in Duluth area, go to the Anchor Bar. It's worth every penny. It's not even expensive. It's super cheap, but it's really good. So, have you ever been to the Anchor Bar?
I do not believe so.
Really? Gosh, it's a Wisconsin legend.
I haven't. Are you talking about Earth Rider Brewery?
Yeah, I think it might be Earth Rider. Is it right next to the Anchor Bar in Superior?
It's saying Whiskey's Last Resort, Lost in the 50s is close. Izzy's Barbecue.
This is
it's right down the corner from the Anchor Bar.
All right, that's got to be it then.
Yep, I think I've been to the Earth Rider.
Yep, Earth Rider. That is the location. Yes, right there.
Yep, I've been to Earth Rider. I haven't been to the Anchor Bar, but I've been to Earth Rider. But I don't know if I had their Imperial or not.
It's good. Yep, very, very good. So, next time you go to the Anchor Bar. It's
all right.
Definitely. Awesome.
We should do a Nice Ashes road trip up there.
Yeah, we could.
See if they'll sponsor a lunch for us or something.
Oh, it's cheap enough. We can sponsor our own lunch.
I know. I'm just saying.
My brother and I went there when he that was one of his haunts when he was younger. And,
okay.
We went there and it was like $5 for a pitcher of Grain Belt. You know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like $5 for a pitcher of Grain Belt. Like
it's
$3
like Wisconsin
for a burger.
is the greatest when it comes to drinking. And I'm from Wisconsin, but I never drank when I was there because my dad was super strict, and that wasn't one of the issues I wanted to press him on as a high schooler. But anyway, we went. I don't know if I told this story on the podcast or not, and if I did, I'm sorry, everybody listening. But we went back for a Whitetails Unlimited thing, and I went up to the and they had special pricing then, right? Because it's a big banquet, you know. And but it was at the American Legion, so it's not in a small town. And so we go there, and I go up to the bar, and I'm like, hey, yeah, I'd like 2 spotted cows, because you can only get New Glarus beer in Wisconsin. And they're like, okay, $3. And I'm like, okay, $3 each, right? And they're like, no, $3 total. And I'm like, are you shitting me right now? Like spotted cow on tap for $1.50 for a pint. That's
awesome.
And we went back later, months or a year later. I mean, we'd been back before, but the next time Sarah and I went out drinking, we went down to the bowling alley, which you would love. Mm-hmm. They've got, I think, 3.5 lanes, and but we were like, okay, so how much for New Glarus? And it's $3 for a pint, which is fucking dirt cheap. It's $8 to $10 for a pint of anything on tap down here in the Twin Cities. And I was like, okay, well, how much for a pitcher? And they're like, $5 or whatever. And I'm like, so we've got 2 pitchers instead of 2 pints.
Yeah.
And the great thing about Wisconsin is they don't care. They're like, oh, you want 15 pitchers? Great. We'll pour up. We'll bring them over to you. We don't need to check IDs or see who's all drinking. If you want to drink 15 pitchers, that's on you. They just don't care.
No, they don't give a shit. There was a beer bar that I used to go to with a friend, and they had $3 pitchers.
Nice.
And it was like a race. It was $3 during happy hour and $4.50 during regular hours.
Yeah. In college once, and this was I went to school in the University of Oklahoma, and they made it into a dry campus because a frat guy got drunk and decided to play chicken with a train coming at him while he was on foot. And he was drunk, and so they, they overreacted and was it's a dry campus now, and even if you're of legal drinking age and you get caught with booze in your dorm room, then you're going to be in trouble or something. But there's this bar just off of campus, and my roommate and I, we went there, and they're like, it's happy hour for another 10 minutes, and we're doing $1 pints. And so I was like, oh, okay, I will take 10, please. And she's like, what? I'm I would like 10 beers put in front of me. And she's like, okay. And then my roommate goes, I too would like 10 beers. So I have a picture of us somewhere. We've got 10 beers in front of us each. So we drank 20 beers that night for, $10, $10 each.
That's awesome. There was a bar in downtown Fargo called the Old Broadway, and they would do 25-cent beers, and you had to order two.
Okay.
And you could only order 4 at a time, and they were like 6-ounce beers. They were just little tiny ones.
Yeah.
But what you do is you would just continually walk. You'd have one guy sit there, and you would sit at your table, and you would just walk back and forth, and you'd get beers, and you would stack the beers up in like a pyramid. So your table was full, and then you'd start to drink. Because it was a quarter a beer, whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's like, 50 cents for a 12er. It's like, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
And they would let you stack them up. They just wouldn't sell you more than 4 at a time.
Yeah. Well, that's like the legal thing kind of gets in the way of what it's intending. And at 20, even at 6-ounce beers, it's going to take a long time to drink enough to be like completely unruly or blackout,
Right. Well, yeah, and I know that certain Western states, they can only serve you 2 drinks at a time. So you'd always get a liquor drink and a beer,
Well, and sometimes, sometimes here in the cities, they ask for IDs. Like if you go and order 2 beers, they say, well, I need to see 2 IDs. That might just be at like concert venues, though. I'm not sure.
I've never had that problem at concerts. They've always given me 2 beers, no problem.
Yeah, and I can't remember where it was, but I remember somebody was doing that. A couple places we went to were doing that, and I'm like, this is the stupidest fucking thing ever. I can go and buy like a 12 or 24 pack from the store, and they're not checking for 24 IDs,
Right. Yep.
If you think I'm out of line, you cut me off.
Pack for $13 at a gas station.
Yeah, or any shop that you stop in at, your tire went out and you stop, and some neighbor or some like residential house like comes out and they help you and they're like, hey, you want like a spotted cow or something while I fix your tire? And you're like, shit, yeah, son. So, actually, we went.
Go ahead.
We went. Well, I think it was the first time I went to St. Louis because Sarah's got a bunch of family down there, and her cousin, who's our age, was working as a tour guide for the city at the time. And he goes, I got to take you to this shop. It's the coolest shop ever. We walk in, and of course, like Anheuser-Busch is right there. So they've got but they got a lot of really cool microbrews too. But we walk into this shop, and it's like, I don't know, it's kind of like one of those touristy, but not like super like lame touristy where it's like you can get your St. Louis magnet and you get, but it was like a more unique shop than like your standard tourist trap shop. And it was run by this really old woman, and she's like, hey, would you like a beer while you shop? And I'm like, yes. She goes, go back to the fridge and help yourself.
Oh my God.
she had it like stocked with Budweiser or whatever, and I was like, fuck yeah, I'll drink a Bud while I'm perusing your shop.
That's great.
She didn't charge us for the beer, but I bought something from her because you can't not buy something after. She's like, here, have a beer.
Right, it's a great sales pitch in a way. You're guaranteeing a sale damn near.
Yeah. So
they have drive-through liquor stores in South Dakota. At least they used to.
Yeah.
And I was visiting a girl I was dating at the time, woman, and we went through the drive-through. We got some liquor, and we ordered because she's like, "Oh, watch this," and she ordered like a Foster's, a can of Foster's. Okay. And they gave us the Foster's in a paper bag, knowing we were going to open the Foster's and drink it in the car. As we drove out of the liquor store, out of the drive-through.
Yeah, I do like the liquor stores where you can buy per can, and you can do that at Trader Joe's. You can open most of the packages, most of the 6-packs, and you can buy per bottle or per can.
Oh, that's cool.
I mean, I always buy like the 6-pack because like, why wouldn't I? But yeah, right. If you want to try a bunch of different beers, like the beer walls are slick. Build your own 6-pack or whatever. Yeah, they are.
They're obviously more expensive, but
yeah,
a lot of stuff I really don't want more than one of anyway.
Yeah.
Who knows what you're gonna get? But, no, I don't know. Nanny state making everything horrible. I know that when I first lived in North Dakota, a DUI there was 13 points on your license, and they have a point system there, and 15 points revokes your license. So if you got a DUI, it was like a trip to jail, and it was a traffic violation, and it was 13 points on your license, and your insurance and everything is based on the points.
Oh, okay.
So as your points go down, your insurance goes down. And every 6 months a point drops off. So your punishment is you have to pay expensive insurance for the next 7 years.
Yeah.
And you can't fuck up again.
The worst liquor laws I've ever encountered. Well, so the second, I don't know, that's probably the worst. The worst liquor laws I've ever encountered, I had 2 really bad liquor law experiences. One, so I lived in Oklahoma for 5 years. They're a 3-2 state. So if you're in the bar and you're drinking beer, it's all 3-2 beer. Like the breweries that make the high-powered beer, they all brew special like 3-2 versions of that beer. So even if you think like, okay, well, I'm not going to order a Bud then, I'm going to order, like a Summit or a Odell's or Sam Adams. Nope, they're all 3-2. Anything that they serve in the bar is 3-2. So for the price, you're better off drinking the liquor, the hard liquor. And then at the liquor stores, and they're like in the heart of the Bible Belt. But if you go to liquor stores, you can buy beer that's over 3.2, but it has to be sold at room temp. So all of the over 3.2 beer was sold from pallets in the middle of the floor. So they couldn't sell it to you cold.
That is interesting.
And if you're into beer, you always try and buy the cold stuff, not necessarily so that you can drink it right away, but because the temperature has been more constant for that beer, over the course of its life. And maybe when it's transported, it's not. I mean, I don't know. Who knows? But
that's crazy.
And then the other worst place was in, I think it was actually Missouri. I went hiking in the mountains with my girlfriend at the time, and she didn't tell me that it was like a booze trip, right? And so she like loaded up her suitcase or whatever, and then she loaded up, like a 24-pack of, I can't remember what she drank, like wine coolers or something like that. And I was like, well, I don't have any beer to bring along on this camping trip, or like, we were staying in like a cabin or like a lodge or something. And she's like, oh, no big deal. Just grab some when we stop at a gas station. So we stop at this gas station, and there's 0 alcohol of any kind. And so I go and ask the station attendant, and they're like, hey, this is a dry county. Oh, I think it was Arkansas. And they're like, this is a dry county. And I'm like, are you telling me that there's not a single drink to be had in this entire county? And I guess that was true. So they have to drive across county lines in that state to go get beer.
This relates, I don't know if we should talk about it this episode or not.
I don't think I have enough left to talk about it this episode.
All right, perfect. Then we will bring it up next time. Marijuana laws. Marijuana laws.
Some
in the next episode.
Marijuana laws.
It's definitely newsworthy because of the Brittany Griner sentencing that just happened.
Oh, I did want to talk about Brittany. I did.
Yeah, we'll do it next episode.
All right,
I'm of two minds to an extent, as usual.
I think I'm of one mind, but we'll see. Maybe you can give me a second mind.
I am of 2 minds for sure.
All right. How many minds are you of this cigar?
I think it's good. I think it's one note. It didn't
one
really
note.
change flavor. It's not as good as like a Series R La Gloria Cubana or something like that.
I would say so far, yes. So far of the Rockey Patels, I gotta say that Connecticut Howitzer was phenomenal.
It was absolutely phenomenal. Lovely. And I'm not usually a Connecticut guy. Maybe I'm becoming more of a Connecticut guy.
Maybe. People change, Mike. People change.
They do, I still like dark roast coffee.
Yes.
I remember I used to not like black beers, and now I pretty much only want to drink black beer.
Okay.
That's not true. Obviously, I just drink a Stella and a Northeast, but...
Yep. Coming from Black Beer Mike.
Yeah, Black Beer Mike. But yeah.
Yeah, you drink a lot of those porters and stuff, and those just fill me up way too fast.
Like the snowdrift that Lining Kugels make is just wonderful during the winter, and I like a lot of the black stuff. I like the black ale from Bent Paddle.
Yeah.
I don't
Do you
know,
like
even
the
Creamy
black
Dark by Lining
the
Kugels
black
is good.
the black butt porter, Black Butte porter
Mm-hmm.
from was that the Shoots? That one's pretty
Yes.
good.
Yeah, and I don't think it's as good.
Yeah, but you've drinking more porters than I have in my life.
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
Probably.
See, and I'm like a Guinness guy too, as you know.
I like Guinness quite a bit. I used to drink a lot of Guinness in college.
Yeah, I always keep a case of Guinness in the basement, and I drink it
Yep.
at that temperature.
Yeah, I had one last time I was up there. We had some Guinness and walked around your property.
Yeah, yeah, like the compound.
Yes,
And,
I didn't want to call it that because in case the FBI is listening. But if you are listening, FBI, like, comment, and subscribe.
Yes, yes, it's always enjoyable. But yeah, I don't know. That howitzer, maybe that was like the lightning in a bottle.
I
type
think
situation.
so. That one was so good. It was so good. But stay tuned. Next week, Brittany Griner,
Yes.
marijuana, and another Rockey Patel. So thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next week.
Ta-ta.